You as Dean, the trial spy. How are you, Dean?
I'm great, Nadia. How's it going?
I'm going well. Look, today we're going to take a bit of a different tact, and so we're going to look at sort of using a lot of investor principles in working out how to win on the punt. And one classic example is, instead of going for that big win by trying to find undervalued companies that suddenly jump in value, look, the world's biggest hedge fund concentrates on achieving small but consistent gains. This strategy makes Bridgewater Associates and very different to its competitors. Ray Dalio started this company in 1975 and operated under, in an extra bedroom in his New York apartment. He has turned it into the world's biggest hedge fund with US $80 billion currently under management. The fund has returned an average of about 14% annually, and that's almost over a 20-year period, and even posted a 14% return in 2008 when 70% of hedge funds lost money through the crisis. Ray is one of the richest people in America with a net worth of over $15 billion. So what does this have to do with horse racing? Well, Dalio's unofficial operations handbook was recently made public, and many of the almost 300 principles discuss the search for truth. So today, Dean is going to paraphrase some of his principles and apply them to punting. And there are many ways that you can use business principles in general, and this is a good way to start, just to give people a real different perspective, Dean.
Yeah, that's right. It's great to analyse and study some of the world's biggest investors. We've discussed Warren Buffett in the past, and thought Ray Dalio was another great example, because the principles that these investors use to generate long-term wealth and success can so easily be applied to punting. It's the same mindset, the same strategy that you should be using if you want to succeed in any form of investing.
Okay, well, let's start off with one point. Find the best answer, not the best one you have. Yeah,
so it's sort of understanding that the power of asking, what don't I know and what can I do about it? So to succeed at betting, you need to find the correct answers and the best answers, and not just the answers that you have. So do you know the answers to important punting questions such as, the mathematics of betting or winning strike rates, profit on turnover, money management, and whether various racing wives' tales or putting myths have any element of truth? So do you know what kind of losing run you can expect mathematically from a 25% winning strike rate? Do you know how much of your bank you should be outlaying per race? Or do you know if second-up syndrome is a real thing, or does dropping back in distance have a negative effect on a horse's winning chance? And can you make money backing the top trainers or jockeys? There's an unlimited list of questions, but you need to ask yourself, have you made the effort to actually educate yourself on the correct answers to those vitally important questions?
Is your analysis better than the market?
Well, that's key. Bridgewater was known for producing huge amounts of research that helped it to grind out a steady rather than a spectacular gain from a very diversified approach. But that approach guaranteed them a long-term successful and profitable venture. So you need to ask yourself, do you do the sufficient research before placing a bet? And are you confident that your analysis is better than the market so that you're betting with an edge?
You also have to have a game plan.
Yeah, that's right. You need to take your time designing this and putting it on paper, because the few hours you can spend planning, it will be virtually nothing in relation to the amount of time that you'll spend doing. And by that I mean, doing the form, race replays, obtaining, maintaining and reviewing data or databases, and betting, securing the best price. So having a game plan will make the doing substantially more effective. And finding the path to success in betting is at least dependent on coming up with the right questions as it is coming up with the answers. So if you're faced with a problem, successful people will ask themselves, do they know the important questions? Are they objective in assessing the probability that they have the correct answers? And are you open-mindedly seeking the right people to explore their reasoning rather than just accept their conclusions? So, and relating to betting, you could create a matrix, for example, of the qualities you're looking for in determining the type of race you want to bet in, or the type of horse you want to back. So you might want to avoid races with less than 8 runners, or heavy tracks, or races where there's more than 3 sort of genuine winning chances. But this matrix of must-haves for your betting should be based on you having initially asked the right questions and then researched the correct answers. Because by deciding on a framework for the type of race you want to get involved in and the type of horse you want to back, you can approach things in a business-like manner, like they do with hedge funds and the like, and avoid wasting time and money getting involved in unsuitable races.
What about the maths of punting?
Yeah, it's wrong to blame losing streaks on anyone or anything other than yourself. It's incorrect, because periods of drawdown happen to everyone. It's your challenge to test and test to successfully deal with whatever comes at you. So blaming bad outcomes on anything other than yourself is essentially wishing that reality is different than it is, which is nonsense. So it sort of also diverts your attention away from mustering up the work ethic and the mindset and the other qualities that are required to produce the best possible outcomes. So you got to remember that the mathematics of betting will test your psyche and your personal resilience when it comes to variance and losing runs, but you've got to plan for it, expect it, and deal with it in a level-headed manner.
You've also have to have the right mindset.
Yeah, it's absolutely key. Ego is the biggest single thing. I think if you can get what you want out of betting, if you can suspend your ego and take a no-excuses approach to achieving your goals with open-mindedness and determination. So you shouldn't feel bad about mistakes. They're to be expected. They're a really essential part of the learning process, and feeling bad about them prevents you from getting better. You've got to use your mistakes when you're betting as learning and growing experience. And it's the first step towards, success and taking responsibility with your betting. So, being open-minded is a lot more important than being bright or smart. There's a lot of information out there, and if somebody without a proven record of profitable tips or ratings, those views aren't equal to people that do have the great track records or experience. And just because a jockey or a trainer or somebody, for example, gets a lot of media exposure, doesn't mean their selections or tips make a profit. So all views should be considered in an open-minded way, but you've got to put it in the proper context of experience and track record, and ask whether someone's earned the right for you to place any importance whatsoever in what they have to say. Because their opinions are easy to produce, but there's an abundance of bad ones around. Definitely.
And also do the hard things, because the reward with those sometimes is a lot bigger if you do take the time out and do a bit of work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a fundamental law of nature that you have to do difficult things to gain strength and power. It's called perturbation. It's how a rock or carbon becomes diamond. It's like pushing yourself extra hard at the gym. After a while, you sort of make the connection that doing something difficult can give you benefits from doing it. And at that time, you come to look forward to doing these difficult things. So, it might be putting twice as much effort into analysing half as many races, or, shopping for the best available odds, or keeping your honest and detailed records, or learning exactly how to apply sectional times as part of your analysis. But, it's a fact that for most people, the thing that they avoid doing is often the exact thing that they should be doing.
And also understand the concept of value.
Yeah, most punters will agree if you're not betting on the value runners, you can't win long term, and that means unless you're getting odds that are greater than the horse's true chance of winning, you can't possibly make a profit. So you'll back your share of winners, but you'll still be a long-term losing punter. But the question people ask themselves is, how do you know what value is if you don't have a set of rated prices? Do you just guess whether the $3 available about your top selection is good value, or whether it's well and truly under the odds? You need to really know what value is.
And you will get what you deserve.
That's the absolute key. The results you end up with will reflect how you handle everything to do with gambling that we've discussed both today and over the past few months. You've got to take control of your betting life and hold yourself accountable. People who wish for a great result but aren't willing to do what it takes to get there, you will fail. When you're trying to understand and diagnose problems, it's important to avoid being the Monday expert and evaluating the merits of a past decision based on what you know now versus what you could have reasonably known at the time of that decision. So we want to ask yourself the question, what should an intelligent punter have known in that situation?
Bring up some very good points. Thank you, Dean.